Hi. So let's talk a little bit about Kundalini Yoga practice times and the number of days that we generally will practice in the Kundalini Yoga realm. And this includes both the Kriya times as well as the meditation times. Because generally speaking, when you're doing a Kriya, that's going to include a meditation of one type or another. So let's start with the times. And generally you're going to start with 3 minutes. You can start with a minute depending on where you're at. There's just not a lot of information on 1 minute meditation times because generally speaking, those are just kind of quick in between. So you're heading into a meeting, you're getting into your car, you're just kind of feeling stressed and you just need like a minute to focus on your breath. It's not necessarily a meditation practice session, if that makes sense. So it's more of a quick fix or just kind of a helpful moment versus a meditation practice where you're actively going to meditate for 3 minutes or longer. So I think that's why they haven't really included that within the time frame. So for the 3 minutes, this one is where it's starting to affect your blood chemistry and your circulation. So it's improving your circulation, it's affecting the blood chemistry, as I said, and then stability of the blood also. The 7 minutes of meditation time, this is where it starts to affect your brain patterns. So you're going from the beta waves to the alpha waves to the more relaxing delta waves. This is also simultaneously strengthening, well, it's also building and strengthening, we'll say, the magnetic force surrounding the body, also referred to as the aura. So 11 minutes, this is where the pituitary gland, the glandular system, and the nerves are going to start to shift and change. They're going to also strengthen. At the same time that those are shifting and strengthening, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous systems are also shifting and changing to allow for the increase of energy that's taking place, or to accommodate, if you prefer that terminology a little bit better. Then we move into 22 minutes of practice. I like the 22 minutes of practice. I used to do this fairly regularly with the subconscious clearing meditations. I really liked to do 22 minutes. So 22 is the number, infinite, I'm trying to say infinity and infinite at the same time and it's not working. So 22 is the infinite number of longing, and it's the mastery of the mental realm. So as you can imagine, this is where your subconscious is really getting cleared out, which is why I paired it, which is why I would do the subconscious clearing meditations for 22 minutes to kind of help that shift take place a little bit more smoothly with a little bit more support too. This is also, as it's clearing your subconscious, it's also balancing your 3 minds, which are positive, negative, and neutral. I'll go into each of those individually to kind of break them down just so you have a separate video for those because they're actually really cool. This, of course, is going to allow for mental integration. Now we go into the 31-minute meditations. So I struggled with 31 minutes, mostly sitting either in a chair or on my mat. I needed to do these ones outside. I found it much easier to sit for 31 minutes outside where I could hear birds, I could hear wind or the cars going by depending on where I was at. So this one is where everything is affected. Your whole mind is affected, your aura is being affected, and your endocrinological, I have such a hard time saying that, balance has been achieved because you've brought everything into alignment, everything's working together. The thoughts that arise during meditation have already gone up and flowed out, or you're in a position now where you can just allow that flow to just work itself through. You stay where you are, you're able to focus on the Kriya, the mantra, the mudra, whatever the case may be. This has also brought balance to the chakra system of the ethereal body, which I will also do a separate video on that as well. And you've brought balance that maintains throughout the day, regardless of what arises. And of course, you're going to see this presented in both your moods and your behavior, your mental status, your emotional well-being, your ability to show up in a healthier way, a more stable way in all of your interactions, whether it's at work, it's personal life, it's just day-to-day craziness, right? You're better able to maintain this sense of self and groundedness within yourself. Okay, let's move into the amount of days. So the first, generally where we start is 11 days. Not to say that if you've maintained a 7-day meditation or a 3-day meditation, that's not impacting you. It is. It's just that for Kundalini Yoga, these are kind of the milestones that there's an expectation to hit. So the 11-day meditation, since 11 is the number of infinity, the number 11, I don't really like this framing. It doesn't, something about it seems like it's missing. So I'll give you the general way that it's broken down and then kind of elaborate on my experience with 11 days. So infinity is the conqueror of the physical realm and the material world for the 11-day meditation, which is the first step in breaking loose from the mental entanglements. 11-day meditations feel less about the physical realm and more, when I practice it for 11 days, it feels more like a homecoming. It feels more like I can breathe freely versus conquering the physical or material realm. So I'm offering, how it's generally described, just so that if that resonates with you, you have that information. But like I say, it just feels a little bit different for me when I practice the 11 days. So the 40-day meditation, this is for Kundalini Yoga. I think most other practices say it's 30 days to break a habit. In Kundalini Yoga, it's 40 days. That's considered where you start breaking those habits. And then you can expand from there. Now, in Kundalini Yoga, it is very specific about when you're practicing for these days, they are in a row. Okay, so if you make it to day 29, let's say you're doing a 40-day meditation, and you make it to day 29, but you forget 30, right? You just completely space out on day 30. Well, then you start back at day 1. That's how it works with Kundalini Yoga. 90-day meditations. This one is where the new habit is established in the conscious and subconscious mind. And this obviously is going to change you in a very deep way. Not to say that 40 days doesn't, that's obviously also going to have a very deep impact, because you've just shown yourself that you can maintain a meditation consistently. That's a pretty big deal. That's following through on what you say you're going to do. Now, the 120-day meditation is where the new habit has been firmly solidified in your conscious. Okay, so it's not just in the subconscious there to help guide you, but now it's in your conscious, so you can operate from it directly, whatever the kriya or the mantra or meditation is that you started practicing with. All of those positive benefits are permanently in your psyche with 120 days. 1,000 days. So I've done one Kundalini Yoga kriya for 1,000 days straight. And this one is basically the mastery of that kriya, the mantra, the mudra, whatever the representation is that you were working towards, whether it's opening your heart, it's opening your intuition, it's communication, that type of thing. That is, you have mastered that skill because you've maintained that kriya or meditation for 1,000 days straight. No matter what happens, whatever challenge comes up, that skill set is there. It's a permanent skill set that you now have available for you. When I did the Sat Kriya for 1,000 days, it was incredibly challenging for the first 90 days. Felt like my body was trying to pull itself apart. So this isn't to say that these are necessarily easy, because you're going to run into all kinds of resistance, right? You're working to change these blocks. So I just wanted to give kind of an overview of the amount of time in minutes that we practice for, and then the amount of time in days. Just so you kind of have a broader overview. I kind of like this information, so I wanted to share it. It seems like when I originally started practicing, I couldn't really find any information on why these were set. Like, what does it do? What is it impacting? How does this, what's the reason? So I wanted to make sure that you had it available to you in case that you were like me and you're like, why? Tell me why. So that's it for this video, and we'll have some new meditations posted. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.